Iowa is a great place to do business and to raise a family, and those are important things we shouldn't take for granted.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Michaela Jordan, here with Iowa's Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig. Mike, let's start by giving a rundown of Iowa's agriculture industry. What's it looking like? How are things going?
You bet. So as we turn the calendar into 2024, it's obviously that time of year where you're thinking a lot about the upcoming growing season, but also a time that we're thinking quite a bit about policy, legislative sessions, and things going on in Congress. So those are kind of the two big categories. We're coming off of one of our warmest winters on record in the state of Iowa, so I think it's got everybody thinking about spring maybe earlier than we normally would. From a policy standpoint, of course, we're all anxious about when are we going to see that new farm bill, and I think unfortunately it probably takes a little longer this year than what we'd like to. We haven't given up on doing it sooner, but I do think that it's looking more and more like it might take through the end of the calendar year. And then our legislative session. We're very fortunate in Iowa. Got a very supportive legislature for agriculture, water quality, foreign animal disease, market opportunities. So again, just kind of continuing to ensure that we can say that Iowa is a great place to do business and to raise a family. And those are important things we shouldn't take for granted.
Touching on the policy aspects of things, there's been some recent action regarding the foreign farmland ownership. Talk about that and what that means for Iowa's farmers.
Yeah, this is really a policy that developed around building on our strength. Iowa has had model laws around preventing the foreign ownership of farm ground into perpetuity. Now, that's not to say that there can't be foreign investment in Iowa. There is, and we've got some great companies that call Iowa home, that employ Iowans, are important to our economy. But what we do have laws preventing is the ownership of farm ground into perpetuity. And that was done in the late 70s into the early 80s. And so, it's something that, frankly, Governor Ray and legislators had vision to get ahead of this. What we have is a strong set of laws that we simply think we should try to strengthen. And so we worked with Governor Reynolds and Attorney General Brenna Bird to do just that, increase the transparency and reporting around those ownership activities, to give the Attorney General tools that she needs to successfully investigate and be able to look into these matters. And then 3 would be to strengthen the penalties to serve as a deterrent should somebody try to test our laws. It unanimously passed the House and the Senate, which is pretty remarkable. I think we can continue to say that we have the model for the country.
As an advocate for Iowa agriculture, you've been doing a lot of traveling, including a recent trip to Mexico.
Yes.
When meeting with U.S. product buyers, what were you hearing and what do you see on the forefront with Iowa agricultural products?
Well, first of all, Mexico is a huge market for Iowa. Number 1 for corn export destination, number 1 for pork, number 2 soybean meal, and we have such a huge logistical advantage, either by rail, in the western part of the country or across the Gulf of Mexico in the east. It's a situation where we can go down, call on our customers, thank them for their business, but also learn about what pressures are they seeing, what opportunities do they see. It is always interesting to take Iowa farmers and put them in the room with producers, customers in another country. I always like to say that agriculture people speak the same language. I don't care where you are in the world, and that certainly played out again as we were in Mexico. So we came home with very, very high on this Mexican market, though we need to make sure that we continue to work through some of the challenges, right? Mexican government has been trying to throw up some barriers around importing GMO corn, for instance, and obviously incredibly problematic. There's a dispute resolution process this will play out, I think, in our favor. It may take throughout this year to do that, but that just drives home why free trade agreements are so important. That U.S.-Mexico bilateral trade relationship is the most valuable in the world. So, that just drives home the importance of making sure that we spend time visiting our customers, but also receiving our customers in Iowa and showing them around our state.
Building those connections is one of the most important assets of being an advocate for agriculture. Thank you, Secretary Naig, for all the advocacy you do on behalf of Iowa's farmers and specifically the soybean industry. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Michaela Jordan.
Everything starts with the land. We really respect farmers.
There's nothing that we cannot help a client with. The brokerage, the management, the appraisal, and the investment are 4 pillars that really go so well together.
We work with a lot of really great people working incredibly hard to provide for their families, their community, in the country.